Before we start this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and make sure you hit that big thumbs up. Now, let's start the video. Hello, and welcome to Sports Right Now with Boots and Poops. Today we'll be talking all sports. So, Poops, why don't we just start off doing a couple NBA game picks? How about
right.
Knicks versus Bucks?
You know, that's kind of an interesting game.
I agree.
If that game was a year ago, it would have been obvious.
Yeah. But now you have Julius Randle, Kemba Walker.
And the Bucks aren't off to the greatest of starts.
No.
The Knicks are off to a good start.
I agree.
I
Over
think
500 record.
you almost have to say that game is a toss-up. It's in Milwaukee.
That's true.
You give them a little edge.
I agree.
My tendency, because I love the Bucks, I loved them last year. That playoff run was so
with Giannis
wonderful.
and
Middleton really came out of his shell.
Yeah, but Middleton this year.
I know. It's an issue, but so I'm leaning towards the Bucks, but I kind of have this gut feeling the Knicks are going to win. I don't know why, but I do.
So what are you saying?
I'm going with the Knicks.
You're going with the Knicks.
I'm going with the Knicks.
Okay. Well, I agree with all your points, but I have the complete opposite feeling. I think it's more likely that the Knicks will win, but I have that feeling in me that I think the Bucks are going to win. And speaking of which, of Chris Middleton, come on, he's got to be more productive, don't you think?
He will be.
I know it's only like 7 or 8 games in, but I mean, he needs to get more production for this team, or they're just not simply going to do it this year, go all the way.
You know, I know this isn't one of our topics today, but I want to just throw something out, see if you have a reaction. Maybe it's a topic for a future broadcast. I really feel like teams now, they're almost treating the beginning of the season like preseason. They're not. I feel like the good teams are not caring, and that's why these teams are all getting off to these starts. The Nets, the Bucks, the Lakers. You know, these teams are playing like they're playing preseason. I
agree. They're coming out rough. Yeah, even the Nets aren't playing that well either.
It's kind of like they're not trying that hard.
I agree.
So anyway, but I think that's a worthy topic for the future.
But I do think the Bucks will end up winning this game. Honestly, I don't think it'll be very close.
I'll tell you another reason to pick the Knicks. I think the Knicks care more than the Bucks right now.
That's a valid point. But I mean, the Bucks are like 4-4 right now. So
Giannis cares. But do the
cares.
Bucks care, or do they think we're defending champs? We're going to be a playoff team no matter what we do. We're going to be playing hopefully to June. We got a long time to go. Let's pace ourselves.
I think that's a valid point. But I think the Bucks will I think Giannis and actually I think Middleton might bounce back this game and have a nice game. But I think Giannis will also do some good things.
One of the best players in the world.
Yeah. All right, next game. Warriors-Pelicans. Who are you taking?
I can't pick against the Warriors, especially in a game like this. The Pelicans are not.
1-8.
They're not a worthy team right now.
No, they're not.
They should be better, but they.
No, but Zion's not.
I know they don't have
Zion's
Zion.
out to at least November 22nd.
And he's a critical part of that.
Crucial.
Team. And also, even though I think Steph is off to a very slow start.
Not really. He's averaging 26.7.
I know, but.
Really? For him.
For Steph,
his shooting is not.
The shooting, he's looking like Simmons light. But I have to pick the Warriors. The Warriors as a team are playing fantastic.
I completely agree. Jordan Poole that last game had 7 threes or 8 threes. He played amazing, 31 points. I mean, he's the things the Warriors need this year if they want to go the distance. He's the players. They need to develop these guys. How about Damian Lee? He's averaging over 14. He's having a great start to this season. I mean, these are the guys that have improved so much And they're the guys that are helping the Warriors. And it really, last year in the playoffs, he was really a non-fact. In the play-in, he wasn't even playing because he was out with COVID. But he was really a non-factor last year. Now he's coming in, hitting clutch shots. I think he's been a big difference in this
There's
game.
no question.
And now with the players trust him, Draymond and Steph are distributing it to him. I think that if he continues playing like this, the Warriors are going to end up with a very, very good record at the end of the season.
He's emerged. He's on a mission to prove himself.
Mm-hmm.
But what's really happened, I think, is from about mid-year last year through the off season into the start of this year, the Warriors have kind of become like the Warriors of about 2014. Mm-hmm. Right before they emerged as a team nobody believed in, and they ended up winning the championship that first year. But if you think about it, they put together the right players. Mm-hmm. They're playing team basketball like no other team is playing right now.
That's completely true.
That's why Steph doesn't have to go off.
I know, because they have other guys now. It's like the Warriors from 2015, 2016.
Think about those teams with Iggy, Harrison Barnes, coming off the bench, Barbaro.
Seth.
No, he ignited that team over and over again off the bench.
I know.
Who was the guard that came in, the kind of point guard? Livingston was such a huge part of those teams. Uh-huh. All those guys all played team basketball. They all played movement basketball. Then Draymond, really a point forward, a defensive force almost unparalleled in the whole league.
And back then he was scoring.
But if you think about it, it's not like one guy emerged. It's not like Poole emerging and that's changed the Warriors.
Yeah.
The Warriors changed the Warriors.
Yeah.
And I really think you got to attribute that Bob Myers.
Well, yeah, he's done a
Steve
great
Kerr.
job. Mm-hmm. Well, Steve Kerr's actually done a very impressive job just handling, like, the year they didn't have Steph with the hand. Really, that's just a rough year. Steve Kerr stayed calm. He didn't get flustered. They didn't go out and make any huge trades. They just stayed calm. They knew their players would come back. And look where they are now, 6-1 to start off the 2021-2022 season.
You know, I really think if this continues and they get far in the playoffs, this is kind of like that situation with the Patriots.
Yeah.
You know, the Patriots retooled over and over again, got back to the top and back to the top. It was really only one thing that was the common factor through all those teams. Yeah. And you know who that is? Tom Brady. Tom Brady. And with the Warriors, they've really got Steph and Draymond.
Yeah.
Because Draymond is a huge factor the way he's playing.
Absolutely.
So you have to love the Warriors. And if you love basketball, who is more fun to watch than the Warriors?
Yeah. So you're going with the Warriors today?
Of course I'm going with the Warriors.
I'm going with the Warriors too. So he went with the Knicks, I went with the Bucks, and we're both going Warriors in those two NBA games tonight.
Of course, if we ask 100 people, 100 of them are going with the Warriors today. That wasn't a hard pick.
I mean, Brandon Ingram is playing very well.
True, but not a hard pick.
No, not at all. Although he has a game time decision tonight, so we'll see. He might be...
Oh, we didn't even talk about Wiggins.
Oh, Wiggins!
You know who Wiggins is now?
Who?
He's Harrison Barnes 2.0.
He is Harrison Barnes. I agree.
It's amazing.
He
didn't
like Wiggins. I
wanted them to trade Wiggins.
I know. And Wiggins slowly but surely in the games, you don't realize the impact he's having, but he actually is having it.
And you know what we haven't seen yet?
Huh.
What's going to happen with Kuminga? What's going to happen with Moody?
Yeah.
And maybe, I'm not a believer, but who knows about Wiseman?
Yeah.
But Kuminga and Moody, I'm really excited to see what happens with those guys.
Me too.
How they blend in, what kind of dramatic superstar kind of qualities they might bring to the game, especially Kuminga.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a very exciting time ahead for the Warriors.
Now Kuminga's back, so he might hopefully he'll start making a difference for them as soon as possible.
I think I need to break out my The City t-shirt.
All right, let's go to NCAA football. Let's do some game picks. LSU versus Alabama. This is kind of a no-brainer, but I mean, you gotta go with Alabama. You just can't go against Bryce Young. LSU's not ranked. I mean, that's a no-brainer. It's just we just picked that game because I don't know.
Well,
It's interesting. It's in the SEC, so why not? So
Of course, I'm
we
going
had
Alabama.
Alabama. I
Of
got
course.
Alabama. All right, next one. Ohio State versus Nebraska. This is sometimes in these games, Nebraska sometimes finds a way to win, but you really still have to go with Ohio State just because QB plays good, Chris Olave is good, Master Teague should play a role in this one, I think, and Ohio State isn't really playing him that much because they have their new running backs in, but he's a very good player, and I think they should integrate him into the run game more. Who do you got in this
Well,
one?
I don't root for Ohio State in general, but I think you can't pick Nebraska. Nebraska hasn't been really a factor this century. You know, at once they were a dominant team, long before you were around. But you can't pick them against a top-notch school now. And Ohio State, year in, year out, is a top-notch school.
Yeah.
So you got to go Ohio State. As much as I really don't want them in that playoff.
I agree. How about number 13 Auburn versus number 14 Texas A&M?
It's probably the closest game of the week.
Yeah.
I'm kind of leaning towards A&M.
Interesting. I agree with that too. Because, I mean, Bo Nix just isn't cutting it for Auburn this year. I know he had a couple good games in a row. But honestly, I think A&M has momentum because they had that great one against Alabama. So I think they're carrying that momentum into their game in, game out.
Yeah, maybe not as consistent as you like to see, but they can rise to the occasion.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you know, I'd like to see them do it again.
Me too. So, who do you got? Texas A&M?
A&M.
I got A&M too. Next game pick. Texas versus Iowa State.
That's a tough one. It's a very tough one. What do you think of Sarkisian? You know, he is supposed to have... I realize this has nothing to do with picking this game. He's supposed to have a special connection with the next Manning kid.
Arch Manning?
Arch Manning. Who I think is only a junior. No, but supposedly...
Okay, say they get him. Whatever, they're good for they're good next year, the year
That could be huge.
It would be huge.
At this point, he's supposed to be way better than, I guess, Peyton and Eli are his uncles.
Yeah, I know.
He's supposed to be way better than they were at the same point. And in addition to having their passing skills,
he can
run. He's got legs.
I know.
So he's a whole different kind of quarterback than they were. But he's supposed to be just as accurate. If they get him, that's a huge thing. Yeah. It's a huge development.
So but anyway, Texas, Iowa State.
I kind of think you should go Iowa State, but I'm going Texas.
I'm going Texas as well. Just because when they played Oklahoma, I saw something in them. They are just a team that can rise to the occasion. They can beat a team easily. They have all what it takes. They have the quarterback. Their running game is huge. And just good receivers all around. Very solid team. I think they will rise to the occasion, beat Iowa State, and improve their record.
Well, so we're in agreement on a lot of picks this week so far.
How about Cincinnati?
I feel this is offensive. What's happened to Cincinnati?
Well, in the playoff rankings, that group that does the playoff rankings, they dropped all the way to number 6.
I do not understand this, and especially I don't understand it as much as we're from the West Coast, so obviously we have maybe a little bias on West Coast teams. The West Coast teams never get any respect. All of a sudden, they plug Oregon in at number 4.
I know.
When they have a loss, And they've struggled in some of the wins.
Yeah.
And you've got an undefeated Cincinnati that beat Notre Dame. They're really telling all of the schools that aren't in the Power 5 or whatever you call it, they're telling them, we're not even going to give you a chance.
Yeah.
It's just not right. It's more fun when they have a team like that in, and everybody roots for that underdog. It's kind of like March Madness, where, in those early rounds, you get the upset with the underdog that nobody even had heard of before. Why not give them some recognition for their undefeated status?
And
there's only
in the playoff. I mean, they've never gotten the respect. They've been undefeated a number of years, but never really had the respect to make it. But this year they were number 2 in the AP rankings. Yes. But they're still number 2. But for some
I think
reason,
that's a more legitimate thing.
I agree.
I don't know why the people that are making this.
They're both professionals, but you gotta trust the playoff people more.
I just don't know why they're penalizing them to this degree when they're ranking teams that are suspect.
Agreed.
Even Michigan State.
No, Michigan State not suspect.
Well, I wish you would put Michigan State on this list. In fact, let's just go on.
How can you say that? Michigan State just beat Michigan in a thriller.
I agree.
They beat number 6 Michigan. They're clearly a top 5 team. No questions asked.
I know it's not on your list.
God.
Let's talk Michigan State Purdue.
Oh, okay.
I think Purdue is a legitimate upset pick for this week against Michigan
not.
State.
Michigan State's going to blow them out.
I'm going Purdue.
I'm going Michigan State.
And especially...
How can you say that? Michigan State has been so trustworthy this whole year. That's why I don't know why the AP rankings were putting them at number 8 last week. They were undefeated. They had big wins. How could they do that? And I don't know how you can possibly say Purdue in that game.
Well, partly...
Purdue's 5-3, so they are respectable, but come on.
And they've had some big games this year. Purdue has.
Yeah, but Michigan State has beat number 6 Michigan.
I know, but I think Michigan is always suspect. It's because of Harbaugh. Michigan has not really done much since Harbaugh's gone there, and this is true. This is many years now. Supposedly the best coach in all of football when he came there, just come off a Super Bowl. It was a loss, but still Super Bowl. Yeah. Goes to Michigan, and he can't beat Ohio State, no matter what he does. He can't beat Ohio State. And now he lost to Michigan State. They had a prime opportunity to be a playoff team, and he just lost to Michigan State.
No. Michigan State is a
I'm not saying they're not a solid team. They're not an Alabama, a Georgia. They're not in that category.
Have you seen their running game?
They've got that running game.
They have that running. Walker is crazy. He ran from one side of the field all the way to the other. He's insane. He's a Heisman candidate.
He's a Heisman candidate. I agree. But I'm just not a believer in the Big Ten. If you think about recent years, for a decade at least, the only team out of the Big Ten...
How about Ohio State? But they just went to the championship.
Let me finish.
All right.
The only team that has done anything is Ohio State. The other teams...
No, but that doesn't matter. Think about that. Well, I can't really say
the other teams look legitimate.
So, does that mean you're not a believer in the Pac-12?
Kind of.
Okay. So you're not a believer in the Pac-12?
Yeah, I think the criticism of these leagues is legitimate.
Well,
that's why it's all SEC, basically.
It is.
And maybe add in Oklahoma sometime.
No, but Oklahoma and Texas are going to merge to the SEC.
I understand. And
and this whole... The SEC is going to turn into just football.
But, aside from Ohio State, once you get into the big-time games, Big Ten disappears. Mm-hmm. And these players that look so great don't look so great when they play the SEC games when they're a big game, when the SEC team really cares.
Yeah.
So I know, they beat Michigan, and you should say, well, that's a big deal.
No, but their running game and their quarterback, everything's good. But the running game leads to the pass. So they have all these other things that create the action and the flow.
How's that running game going to look against Georgia? I asked you that.
It's gonna look good. Just because.
Oh, you don't know Georgia then.
No.
Georgia will shut them down.
No, they won't. This running game is better.
They'll make that high school running back, that Heisman candidate running back, look like a high school player.
That is not true.
Trust me.
You cannot say that when he's a Heisman candidate. Say Najee Harris was going out against Georgia. Would you say it's the same thing? Najee Harris was not even a Heisman candidate.
What I'm saying is it's very hard to judge these players because they look a certain way because of the defenses they're facing.
No, but look at the yards after contact.
Look, it happens in basketball too.
No,
look at the people in the NCAA tournament that look like a superstar.
You can say that because the yards after contact, even if he gets swallowed, he finds his way out of it. You can't say that he would get stuffed because he can break tackles and make moves and do spin. After he gets touched, even if he's swallowed, he ducks under it or something. Does something crazy.
I guess we agree to disagree.
Time
will tell.
Time will tell.
Let's move on.
Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, no. Not Aaron Rodgers again. You really get me going with this Aaron Rodgers. I watched his
Did you see the interview?
Yeah.
It was like a 50-minute.
It was disgusting.
It was terrible.
Really. He's become just this...
lunatic. Idiot. Thinking he's above the law.
Exactly. Like, he talks about the protocols... Like, he's done all protocols except the one he disagrees with.
I know.
Well, they're
that's
rules.
The most important one.
It's the league he's chosen to play in. They have rules.
Yeah.
It's not up to him to decide if it makes sense or not. And then he may not be saying it this way, but he knowingly lied to the public.
I know. Because what if he said he was like immunized or something?
Yeah. Inoculated, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But... He knows what they were asking him. And he knows that created the wrong impression.
Yes.
He's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. Yeah. And really, it just totally makes him seem like a jerk.
Well, if he wasn't already, this is just added to it. I mean, this guy has come out to just basically ruin everyone that possibly could have liked him or had some... I'm sure the fans in Green Bay are probably dropping off a little just because of this one situation.
Yep.
It's just terrible what he's done now.
Yeah, and go all the way back to preseason. He really wanted to leave.
Yeah.
So he didn't get the ability. Then it looked like he'd come back and he wanted to be a Packer again.
Yeah.
And he was doing the right things. What did they have, 7 wins in a row now or whatever it is? Yeah. They're looking great. They look really like a favorite for the Super Bowl. And then in essence, he does this to his team and his teammates. Because they're not going to be the same team.
Absolutely.
Whether you believe in Jordan Love or not, they're not the same team as they are with Aaron Rodgers.
No.
So even if he's only misses a game, maybe 2 games.
I know.
It still hurts the team and the teammates.
Because the morale of the team.
Yes. And he really should have done the right thing for his team.
Yeah.
And he's probably going to leave at the end of the year.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like he really cares. And I think that's really unfortunate.
I completely agree. Let's go to a different topic, though, because that's just too crazy. Jordan Love versus Patrick Mahomes. The new kid versus the super duper 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 super duper star.
That's kind of an interesting thing to try to compare those two, because some people think Jordan Love is kind of like Patrick Mahomes before he got a chance to play.
Yeah.
You know, he's now sat for, a year and a half, roughly, watching, learning. Mahomes didn't play that first year, I think, right? Did he play at all that first year?
I'm very excited for Jordan Love. I really am rooting for this kid.
He's supposed to have the skills, and he's had some time. He might be a surprise. I mean, it's kind of unfair to just stick somebody in this situation, and that's all on Aaron Rodgers. But if he comes through, people are going to love him.
I agree.
He will get such...
Green Bay is going to love him.
Because Green Bay is like that. They love their players.
And especially, Kansas City's terrible defense, this is actually an amazing opportunity for him.
Yes.
He could go out and score 35 points.
Even if they lose.
Even if they lose, they'll like him. If he goes for over 30, he is going to get...
And he gets some running yards and maybe a TD.
Yep.
You know,
You never know. Aaron Rodgers' whole thing could just flip just because of this one incident.
Well, when Aaron Rodgers comes back, they're putting him in. But
No,
I think
but
the team already knows likely this
He's
is
gone.
it. And their team is going to be based on Jordan Love.
Yeah.
J-Lo.
Jalen.
It'll be
All
interesting.
right. But what do you think about Patrick Mahomes this week?
You know, I love Patrick Mahomes. I realize
Do you now?
we've had our discussions. I think it's premature to call him the greatest quarterback of all time like you do. I think that's way, way premature. But still, how can you not like Patrick Mahomes?
I agree.
You know, he plays with his heart. He's got all the skills in the world. He plays hurt. Just trying. He's the great teammate that Aaron Rodgers is the opposite of that.
Yeah.
So you can't not root for Patrick Mahomes.
No.
But this week, just because of the unique circumstances, I am rooting for Green Bay.
I am too. Just because, I mean, I want Mahomes to have a good game, but you got to root for Jordan Love.
Yes.
Just
And
because.
this game, what if this game is 49-42?
That would be amazing.
It could be.
It very well could be.
So it'll be very interesting to see what happens. That's the game I'm looking forward to watching this weekend. And I'm hoping, despite your total dedication to Red Zone, that we could actually watch that game.
All right. What about? Oh, give me a break. Okay. How about Odell Beckham Jr.? What do you think of this situation? I mean, he's now released. His father puts out that statement saying Baker's purposely not giving him the ball. What's going on?
More than a statement. He had video proving it.
Yes.
He showed over and over again OBJ wide open, no pass. Over and over again this year. So he really proved that.
Yeah.
It wasn't just him saying it. It was
Yeah.
proof
Yeah.
on video that he put out to the public. Now, whether you
I
can
don't
say
really
he should have
know.
done that or not, if
No, but
you
yeah,
were
I mean,
Odell,
you think Baker Mayfield's purposely not giving Odell the ball?
you know, Baker Mayfield's a decent quarterback. How does he not see what supposedly is one of the primary receivers open time after time? I really wonder about that. Now, it could be the play calling. You know, I know they've got a sequence. Here's your number one target. And, you know, the check down. Go number one, number two. Maybe they're making Odell the
Number
fourth
three,
in the
fourth.
check down or something.
Yeah.
But
Ended up
still, the amount of times he's open and doesn't get a pass,
I know, it's often.
you got to blame that on somebody.
Yeah.
So who do you blame? I maybe you could say mainly the offensive coordinator.
Yeah. Because he's.
But
Yeah.
I put a little of it on Baker Mayfield too, because if I guarantee you, if the QB was Tom Brady, Odell would have gotten passes.
Oh my God. We're back on Tom Brady.
Oh.
Once again, the greatest of all time. God! Too much. Well, OBJ just. I mean, what team could he possibly go to? The Rams have shown interest.
You know, nobody is willing
But
to
even
trade for him.
actually,
That's why
Rams have Cooper Kupp and Woods, so I mean, I don't know.
I do think the Rams will like, you know, the Saints wanted him before the season started.
Yeah.
So the Saints are a possibility. I think New England is a
I think
possibility.
that's
Even
what I
though
was
they've
about to
got,
say.
they
Patriots. No, they don't have receivers.
well,
Name one receiver on that team.
I agree with you. They're
They
not.
got Jacoby and frickin' Myers.
They're not.
Who the hell
They don't
cares
have
about that
stars.
guy? He's
I agree
He's
with you.
playing
I
as a
agree with you.
he's a lawyer playing in the NFL. Come on.
Okay, but I think they're a good possibility mainly because that team has done well with people that have had kind of a little bit of a questionable past.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Randy Moss.
I do think that I think that they're going to put him. I think the Patriots have actually a very good chance of getting him.
I think that would be a good place for him to go. he's not old.
No.
So if he can turn it around, then he'll be with a young quarterback that's an accurate passer, with a coach that is beyond question. He can run a team. Now, that doesn't mean these other teams wouldn't be good. Sean Payton in New Orleans, that's a good spot. The quarterback situation is a little more questionable, I think, even though, we're talking about a rookie in New England. But I still think with Sean Payton, a great offensive coach.
with the knee,
he's out now.
Yeah.
So, but I still think you got to look for the future too. That wouldn't be a bad spot. The Rams, that's a quality team now.
McVay, Woods, Cup.
Yep.
Stafford.
Yep. So.
And the running game has improved too with Henderson.
Yes. So, those are all good places he could go. And the beauty of it is, when you think about this, the Cleveland team is going to pay some of the money that he's owed in the future, trying to make it attractive for some team to just take him for free.
I know.
It's crazy. Do you know what Cleveland gave up to get him?
Yeah, they gave up
first round and a third round pick and a player.
I know.
A starting player.
I know.
Plus a first round and a third round. They're getting nothing.
I know.
They're paying money to get somebody to take it.
For this guy that was an amazing player.
Probably thought to be like top 3 receiver in the league.
I'd say number 1 receiver in the league.
At one time, after that one catch.
I know. But he really went from all the way up, all the way down.
But just a big blunder by the... now, part of it is his injury. Mm-hmm. That's not Cleveland's fault.
Yeah, the ACL.
But
ACL.
Aside from the injury, I feel the team has really mishandled the situation. Mm-hmm. And they're paying a price for it. 2 major picks lost, a player lost, and having to sacrifice this guy. And what if he goes on to another team and turns back into the original OBJ?
Yeah. I mean,
that could really have impact on one of these teams, especially if it's New England.
Yeah.
Because you're right. He'd become the number 1 guy.
Yeah.
And then he'd have a quarterback he could develop with for the next 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but that's an interesting case. And kind of sad. I hope it works out for him.
Me too. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, thank you for watching Sports Right Now. I am your host, Buddy, and this is Poops. And, well, we're signing off for the day. We'll see you tomorrow. So long from Sports Right Now.